And I know whether a job is loss-making or not, because it's really simple, because it's just me doing it, and I pay for my petrol, I pay for the materials, I pay for, and the travel time has a cost to me. I don't want to be sitting in my car, etc. So I know in total they've paid me that much for that one job, and I know what it's cost me. So I don't have all those complications that you've been describing you have in a big department, because I'm a fractal worker in a way, aren't I?
But let's just explore that in terms of what Julian's was talking about there. Because if you look at most big companies, which I've worked for in previous life, when they get into trouble, they tend to aggregate into a more centralized system. So it's now one HR department does each unit, and then it's one accounts department, and then that unit amalgamates with that unit, and then this one here is brought in.
Because they think that saves them costs.
Fantastic.
And it gives them more central control.
Fantastic. So they get bigger and bigger and bigger and more centrally controlled. And then they say, well, good idea, we'll introduce a new ERP system, and that will control this whole thing. So the only way you can measure the profitability is at the whole level. And the whole now is this huge, massive thing. And then you can spend all your life to here to infinity allocating costs to the individual products that come out, and you will achieve nothing, by the way. Is that a profitable custer?
I see talking about activity-based costing.
ABC.
All that.
But
you're right. You're never going to really...
You're never going to do it. So you don't know... Fundamentally, you don't know whether a customer is going to be profitable or not, or a product's going to be profitable or not. You don't know. You just know at this huge corporate level whether you made money or not. Yeah. And if you start switching off products, you don't know what the impact that's going to be.
And at least before, you knew whether each division was profitable.
Fantastic.
Because they had their own purchasing and their own, they were a separate thing. More or less. You might have had transfer pricing between, but more or less you knew about the divisions.
But let's go back to that division. So the way that we think in the West is that if we centralise more, we can save more and become more profitable. So I say, well, do the very opposite. Decentralise more. Oh, it's horrific. That's absolutely madness, Andrew, to do that. That's going to introduce so many more costs you can't believe.
It does.
2 purchasing departments?
Yeah.
So
it does.
And you go, yeah, it does. Okay, just accept it. It does. So there's a couple of things that happen. One is now you know the profitability of these smaller units.
Yeah.
So which ones of these little units are profitable? Because we had one unit, let's say it was marginally profitable before, and now we've got 2 units, one which is profitable and one which is unprofitable.
Yes.
Well, you can do with that now.
Yeah.
You go, phew, close that one.
Or at least try sorting it out.
Or try to sort it out, that's right.
Yeah.
But you can now measure the profitability of that little unit.
Yeah.
And keep splitting up into these smaller and smaller and smaller units until you can see which ones make you money and which ones lose money. Now that's the total opposite of what we do over here in the West.
Yes.
We centralise, aggregate, and what we're saying is no, that's the last thing you should do. You should decentralise and deaggregate or disaggregate.
So you can only tell the profitability
at unit level
of your product if you can aggregate every single person who's on the production line, plus every single administrator and manager and director and
salesman,
marketer
designer
and everything. You aggregate all that together before you can work out how much money you're making on that product, or perhaps over that year.
Yeah.
Whereas if you disaggregate it, and then we're able to say, well, this Joe makes this, and Barry does that, and Anne does this. You can tell who's making a profit because you don't have to aggregate it. It narrows down to ultimately the source of the value add, which is the person or the machine or whatever.